All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program. Coming up on this week's episode of the Weekly Remind, we have the transcripts and the audio for the Ira Briscoe interview we did with Pat. We have that and some other information on his case. We're going to be discussing the Jessica Nicole Stacks case. She went missing January the 1st, 2021. Her family wants answers, and we want to cover this case, and we're going to need your help in getting those answers for us. We also speak with Amanda Miller, Mathew Vetromile's sister. We discuss a fundraiser they're going to do to help for more searches, as well as a private investigator, and a heartfelt message from one sister to the brother. And then we're going to be covering our case remind of the week, Linda Barnett, who will have been missing a year on Monday. We have a man who has dedicated his time to finding Linda and his group's dedication to help others. We speak to him as well. And something very troubling about the Savannah Sanderson's case that I think all of you need to know. And we're going to need your help in advocating for putting a monster behind bars. All this, much, much more on this episode of the Weekly Remind. Sit back and help be a voice for the voiceless. First up on this episode of the Weekly Remind, we're going to play for you the audio with text of the interview we did with Pat that aired Friday on the Grim Truth podcast, Ira Briscoe episode. And then we will follow up with some information after that. So here is the interview I did with Pat with the transcripts. Take a listen.
Okay, so Tanner came in the house looking for a gun. He said he was jumped. He said that 3 guys jumped him over at Ira's house. He first never heard Ira's name. Whenever he said that, he said that him and Tanner got into it and he knocked Tanner's teeth off, but he came back and apologized, and that's what he was saying. So Michael needed to go out there and talk to him there, and he was wanting the gun. I told Tanner whenever he told me what it was about, because I guess he didn't tell me who it was at the time, but I figured out later it was Shannon. He said that one of his buddies had robbed somebody, which would have been facing Leon, and took their little girl's shit, and he wouldn't tell him who it was, but Ira did. So Ira was sniffing. 2 days later, called me, and she's like, you need to go get Christina, she's in trouble. I don't know what happened, but Jesse shot. She looked at me, dead in the face, put a gun up to her head, and said, I was like, she's like, Shannon said he killed him.
So that's the interview that we did with Pat. I want to let everybody know that that may raise more questions for you, may answer some questions. But, we want to make sure that we protect people that come on the program, on the podcast, and we appreciate Pat for being brave and coming on. I want to let everybody know, too, that we've spoken to Ira's family, and we will be speaking with them this coming Friday. And I just want to make sure that everybody understand, we never thought, that they weren't doing anything to find Ira. I think the disconnect was us reaching out to help them, and in them really not knowing what we were all about, or maybe they were just concerned about how we would profile the case. And I totally understand that, and I've spoken to a family representative a couple of days ago, and I look forward to talking with Ira's family this coming Friday, and hopefully we'll be able to air that in the coming weeks. So look out for that announcement. As we move on, next we spoke with the family of Mathew Vetromile, who went missing in Orlando on March the 1st, 2021. I had the opportunity to speak with Amanda Miller, Mathew's sister, and we discussed an upcoming fundraiser that they're going to have to help support continued searches for Matt, as well as a possibility of hiring a private investigator and a reward for information leading to Matthew's successful return home. The family does want answers. So here's my interview with Amanda as we talk about the fundraiser and her special message for her brother. So Amanda, tell me real quick what you guys are doing for the Mathew fundraiser.
So on July 18th, we're doing a fundraiser. We're making a chicken French dinner for anybody who is local. It's $10 a ticket for adults, $7 for kids. We will also be having a silent auction. A bunch of different companies have donated baskets so that we can do a silent auction. We will be posting them to the internet for anybody who cannot attend in person but would like to bid on a basket. And then we will also be having a 50-50 raffle for anybody who wants to buy tickets for that. Doesn't have to be in person as well. They can just message or call me or my mom. And basically, that's what we're doing.
And for the raffle and the stuff they can bid online, how would they go about bidding online for that?
So they can call me. I can provide my phone number to you.
Okay.
And you can put that up. No, I don't mind people calling me, and then we can work something out. After they call me, I'll send you all the pictures. I'll also be posting, in the Finding Matt groups and the updates on Matt and on my Facebook.
Okay, great. And all the proceeds are going to help.
All the proceeds will be going to funding a private investigator. They'll be going to his reward. And then also my mom is going back down to Florida, I believe next month, to continue searching, continue hanging up flyers, and continue making noise. Okay. And just while I have you on the phone, as we continue for the search for Matt, the law enforcement is still not pursuing any of the leads as far as the two men, the guy that had Matthew's luggage. There's been no they're doing nothing.
No headway in that whatsoever.
No, they're doing nothing. They're waiting for something to happen, and nothing's going to happen if they continue to do nothing.
And we just want to reiterate for the people out there, Mathew does get finances every month. That he relied on, and Mathew would never miss the opportunity to make sure he got that money to live off of, because that's how he survived, was that money, and he has not touched that money, nor has he called for that money. Correct?
Correct. I handled that hard. He would call me. I have two toddlers, so I couldn't get it to him right away exactly when it came, and my phone would ring every 10 minutes of him just bugging me, like, please send it now, please send it now, please send it now, and nothing. And the
reason why we bring that up, too, so everybody can understand, is that law enforcement thinks Mathew is, he's just gone up and packed up and restarted his life somewhere. And as I've talked to Carla and you, and we've been doing this for several months now, there's no way in Hades that Mathew could live without this money. So no. He would have reached out and contacted. And that's why we're very hardcore on law enforcement when we have these issues where people have gone missing and rely on funds to survive. It obviously is something wrong if they're not getting these funds to live off of.
Yeah, he would have called me. I mean, even, Matt's had his episodes where he wouldn't trust anybody, even my mother at times, but he's always trusted me. I've been his constant in everything. And there's no way, like you said in Hades, that he wouldn't call for his money. He was always on top of it, always. There's no way he could survive without that.
Okay. And for the people that are local for the chicken dinner, where is that going to be held at?
That's going to be out at Josh's house. We have the address on the flyer.
On the flyer, okay. Well, I'll make sure we get that out to people. And is there, and finally, is there anything else you'd like to say regarding Matt's case, or anybody out there that may know something that might help bring your brother home?
Just, Matt, if you can hear me, I love you. And we really want you to come back home, or if you know anything, please just reach out to one of us. Matt has children and has nieces and nephews that miss him and that ask me about him every single day, waiting for their Uncle Matt to call them, and it breaks my heart that I have to tell them that I don't know where he is. So please, if you know anything, just please speak up and help us bring my brother home.
Mathew's family just wants him found, and we're at this point in the case where law enforcement just seems to think that Mathew's on vacation somewhere, and that's just not the case. It's not been proven. If you look at Mathew's case and you followed it again, there's a link in the description below if you want to take a listen. If you haven't done so, I urge you to. Matt's case is pretty simple. There are people that saw Matt, and those things aren't being followed up on, and we need you to follow up on them. And we're hoping that law enforcement hears our plea and they do that. It's of great importance that they do that. Again, if you're local in the West Henrietta, New York area, you can pre-order your tickets by July 15th. If you would like to donate or purchase tickets for the raffles but can't make it in person, you can contact Amanda or Matt's mom, Carla, at 585-755-1889. Again, that's 585-755-1889. And they'll be happy to take care of that for you. We're going to have a 50-50 raffle, the silent auction, and there are going to be some lawn games. Festivities start at 1 p.m., and the dinner is from 2 to 4, and that will be at the 3339 Scottsville, West Henrietta Road in West Henrietta, New York, 14586. Again, the proceeds are going to help Matt's family, not just with the reward, but for the continued searches for Matt, as well as hopefully they're going to get a private investigator to help take a look at that case. So again, let's help the family out. In our case remind this week, we're going to be discussing the case of Linda Barnett. She went missing on July the 5th, 2020, and it's almost been a year. She hasn't been seen since. The anniversary will be on Monday. Tragically, she will have been missing 1 year today. On most missing cases, there's really no place to look or no one to ask. People just vanish, and we've covered some of those, and I have a couple cases like that we're going to be covering in the future. In Linda's case, all avenues lead to one person. They only go one place, and that's going to be her boyfriend, Charles Comstock. I had the pleasure of speaking with a gentleman by the name of JJ Chasteen, who is with a group. He's a founder of a group called the 806 Area Missing Children and Adults. He has helped look for Linda, as well as others. He's been a champion of Linda's case. And so here's my interview with JJ as we have a candid talk about Linda's case and what his group does. Here we go. So go ahead. You said you've done several searches on Linda?
Yes, I've done many searches on Linda. I would form groups, and sometimes we didn't have a lot of people to show up to search for her, and I've been searching for her on my own, and I've come up with no leads at all. I once talked to the boyfriend. The boyfriend, he never wanted to talk about her.
Of course not.
He just, busted off, well, she left on her own. His words were, the effing bitch left, and I don't care. And to me, I don't believe the lady left on her own.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I believe the man killed her is what I believe.
Yeah, and that's what I believed also. I did a story on her a couple of weeks ago. And
yes, I read that. Yes, sir.
And frustrating as it is, because when you look into the story, and I talked to the neighbor on social media, but I never got a chance to actually physically talk to her, but she let on that there was a lot of fighting going on.
Yes, sir. That's what I've got from the neighbors also. I talked to one man that works. He was a neighbor, and he works at a Mexican restaurant right there across from where Linda lived. He told me that they often fought. The guy Charles would get drunk, beat her up. I know at one time the neighbor was telling me that Linda was in pain and everything, and the man Charles, the boyfriend, told her once, he screamed at her and told her, "I can make your pain go away." He says, "I can make you go away." And I believe that's what he done. I believe he got drunk, they fought, he killed her, and God knows what he done with the body.
It's funny that you brought that up, sir, because I heard the same story but didn't know where it came from. The other thing, too, was after a bit of investigating, he was using money out of her bank account for several weeks. And,
wow.
And until family was able to get that stopped.
Yeah.
And during my investigation, I did learn that there was money still going into an account for Linda, but it had been untouched. And that Charles was interviewed a final time. He got up, walked out, and refused the polygraph, and he hasn't been cooperative since.
Yes, I've heard the same thing, yeah.
And if you didn't mind, if we can just, I wanted to talk a little bit, one, about what you do and what your organization does also.
Uh-huh.
Would you mind talking about that?
Yes, sure. My organization, I formed it around 2 years ago. It's called 806 Area Missing Children and Adults. We have over 2,000 members on Facebook. Anytime someone goes missing here in the 806 area, even in the Oklahoma Panhandle, Kansas, New Mexico, we get it out on Facebook. If we have a member that's in that town, that member goes out and does a looking, searching. I often search for the people here in Amarillo, in my hometown here, Amarillo, as I did with Linda. I still haven't gave up the search for her. It seems like, I don't know if the police have the manpower or they just sweep it under the carpet.
Let me ask you this. Do you, and just going back to Linda's case, has there been anyone that had given any information as to where Charles may go or may have gone to a place he hung out at, or anywhere, like a specific location to look for Linda?
I have at times followed Charles. When I have the time to do it, I would watch him and follow him. He usually hangs out at the homeless shelters, things like that. But here recently, he has disappeared. I have not seen his car. I have not seen him. So it's possible he moved from Amarillo.
And I did hear that it was shortly after Linda went missing, he ended up losing that place they were staying in, obviously because he couldn't afford to stay there. He was spending her money. So was he in fact homeless?
I do believe he was homeless, and I believe after he lost his place, he was living in his car and staying at the homeless shelter, is what I believe.
And are you aware if he had the hardest thing that I had when looking into this case was not being able to talk to anybody that knew him? Did you have any leads on people that were talking to him or that he was friends with?
No, sir. He pretty much stayed to himself at the homeless shelters. I talked to some of the people and asked them if they knew him, and they said, well, we have seen him come in, but he doesn't talk to no one. He stays pretty much to himself.
Yeah, he's a loner type.
Yes, sir. Like a loner. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Because my question would be, I've been in my line of work, in my previous job, you come across people that drink or that have alcohol issues, and they tend to migrate and hang out with other people that have the same problems, especially if they don't have any alcohol to drink. They'll find somebody that does. So
yeah,
that was my line of thinking was if he's not making any money himself to get alcohol, he's going to have to try to find another way to do it. And if you have a secret that huge and that evil, generally you tell somebody, and that was also my line of thinking.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I've heard people that get locked up and in jail, in prison, and they talk.
Yeah, they tell somebody something because they have to get it off their chest, even if it's a complete stranger.
It bothers them.
Yeah.
Yes, it bothers them. Yes, sir.
And even the coldest people that do murder have a tendency to brag about it or say something about it, especially when they get inebriated. They have to let their inhibitions, they get a little loose-tongued, if you will.
Yeah, when you get drinking, things come out, and that's a lot of. I would always wondering, if he would get drunk and tell someone, hey, what he did. I just can't believe that the law doesn't get more involved with the case. I did hear that they had a fight. She supposedly fell and hit her head, and there was a large amount of blood in the house.
Yeah, they found it on a mattress, if I'm not mistaken.
But my theory is, okay, they found the blood. She's gone. She's been gone for a year. Why don't they put two and two together and say, hey, this guy had to do something?
Yeah, and that's the question I'm going to pose to the detective when I call him here in a little while. The other thing, too, was the cell phone. His story didn't make any sense that she left, didn't take her phone, but took his phone. Why would it? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And then, because the whole thing was those cell phones, pinging the cell phones and trying to locate where he was around the time that she disappeared. But of course, if she has his phone, that's his excuse for, I don't know where my phone is, she took it.
Yeah.
The one thing that bothers me about this whole thing is again the inability to locate anybody that he's either talked to or he's been hanging out with, and anybody else that saw them or that she spoke with. I know she was afraid of him. She said that much to her friend, but it was.
Yeah, she was afraid. I have heard that. Even her family said that they didn't know why she stayed with this guy, but because she was terrified of him.
You think showing her picture around that area, has that helped? Or I know we've shared flyers, but I haven't gotten a lot of reaction off that.
We have probably around 2,000, maybe 3,000 flyers that have been put out around the area where she disappeared. I have been in every one of the stores around where she disappeared, put in flyers. I don't think that has helped any. No one seems to have ever seen her. I know her sister Carol, I believe, has gotten some bogus phone calls where people had sighted her and seen her and talked to her, but I believe that's true.
I want to thank JJ for taking the time to speak with us. He does great work, and again, he's been a champion in Linda's case. If you want to go to Facebook and check out his group, the 806 Area Missing Children and Adults. They love volunteers in the Amarillo area and generally in that area of Texas. They do fantastic work. And if you heard in that video, the sad part is there weren't a whole lot of volunteers to go out and look for Linda. And that's what we need. We need more people to get in there and help look for this woman, again, missing a year on Monday, and we need her found. Linda Barnett, Amarillo, Texas, went missing July 5th, 2020. She's 5'2". She has brown hair. She has green eyes. Sometimes she wears glasses. She has a scar across her nose. She does walk with a limp, and she does not have any of the medication that she desperately needs with her. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Linda Barnett, or if you have any information on the whereabouts of her boyfriend, please contact the Amarillo Police Department, 806-378-3038. Again, 806-378-3038. Again, he was questioned. He refused to polygraph, and pretty much everything else is circumstantial. So we need information, and that information's got to come, hopefully, from one of you, our Grimm guardians, because Linda's case needs to be resolved, and she needs to come home. I want to bring your attention to the case regarding Savannah Sanderson, which we've covered extensively here on our Facebook page, on the Grimm Street podcast. We've done videos. We had 16,000+ flyer shares on Savannah's case, and we're so thankful that she's found. But I want to bring your attention to the man responsible for taking Savannah away, and that's this gentleman here, Keith Cochran. Keith Cochran's a registered sex offender. He's an animal. He has a huge rap sheet, and much, much more. He's a Native American who apparently lives on a reservation, and there is a law, state law, that protects Native Americans from being prosecuted by state law. This is true. It is an unfortunate fact. However, we did some researching on our own before we were making this video, and Mr. Cochran here violated a law, a federal law, that he might not be aware of, and it's called the Mann Act. Now, the Mann Act was an act that was passed in June 25th of 1910, and it's been amended several times, but it's an original act made it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce, transportation of any women or girl for the purposes of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose. Its primary stated intent was to address prostitution and immorality, or immorally human trafficking of persons, particularly when they were trafficked for the purpose of prostitution. It was one of several acts that was made for protective legislation aimed at moral reform during the progressive era in our country. This man has broken the law. First of all, it is against the law to take a young girl, 16 years of age, across state lines. You went from Mississippi to Oklahoma with a 16-year-old girl. You sir, are you're not a man. You're an animal. We need people like this to go behind bars, and whatever technicality and loophole that this gentleman has, it needs to be stopped. Now, I did reach out to a couple of sources, and they are working on something federally to charge him, because it's just the right thing to do. I mean, This guy, he has been arrested for drug trafficking of bath salts. Not to mention he's on probation. And on top of that, he's a registered sex offender, as he was taking Savannah from her home in Mississippi to Oklahoma. I cannot stand loopholes. I'm not a big fan of loopholes. And furthermore, I cannot understand how we can allow stuff like this to go on and this man not be charged. Now, I don't make laws, and I understand that these are the law of the land. I respect the sovereignty of Native American tribes. We discussed that in the Jesse Conger case last Friday on the Grimm podcast. This man's been on probation since 2019. And I told you about the trafficking of bath salts. I'm not going to let you prey on. I don't know if you're listening to this, Mr. Cochran, and I hope somebody gets you a phone, sits you down in a chair so you can understand what I'm about to say. I'm not going to tolerate anyone that's going to prey on a lesser person. Let that be a child, or anybody for that matter. But we're talking about a child here. Not on my watch, sir. Not on my watch. As long as I'm around, Mr. Cochran, I'm going to make sure that I put pressure on those I need to put pressure on to make sure that you are not just in the jail but under it, so you can never harm another person like this again, and hopefully your behavior doesn't escalate. When it comes to this young girl right here, you need to leave her alone, and I hope and pray that you do. I'm going to be on your 6, Mr. Cochran. I will do everything and use all of my platforms to warn people about you, and again, help fight to make sure you are locked up in a jail and you stay there. Period. In closing, I did get a message from the family, and I got a message from Savannah. Savannah sent a message via her mom and a picture of her smiling, and she said that we were her hero. And I don't want to be a hero. I want to be a champion for those that can't speak for themselves. I want us to become an army for those that can't speak for themselves, and to celebrate more wins like this of bringing people home. Not just Savannah, Misty, Maggie McGinn, and others, and including Linda and including Mathew. We need more wins, and they're out there, and we can do that. We just have to stay the course. We have to keep sharing and sharing and sharing all of these flyers and any information that we can get. And to top that all off, we just need to be great humans and do everything we can to not let evil win, and to make sure that those who cannot speak for themselves have the loudest voice in the room. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Again, if you're in the New York area there in West Henrietta, and you're going to help the Vetromile family out there, Amanda and Carla would love to. We're going to be posting that again on the Grimm Street Podcast Facebook page, the link there, so that you can check out the address if you want to help them out. Again, I want to thank Amanda Miller for coming on. I want to thank JJ with the 806 area, children and adults, and the great job that he's doing. I want to thank all of our guests, and I want to thank you for continuing to be our Grimm Guardians and helping us with these missing cases. Until next time, God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.